Radical.
Viewer discretion is advised.
About a week ago, I was going to give my thoughts on the opening ceremony for the Paris Olympics. Back then, a week ago, I was already late. I was already late to the party to give my thoughts on it because, well, it was closer to maybe 2 weeks ago the Olympics started. Better late than never, I guess. So, one problem I had to give my thoughts on this opening ceremony was I went to the official YouTube channel of the Olympics, and you can't see the video. The comment section. You can't read comments. You can't read comments. You cannot see the video. That's how fucking ashamed they are of that opening ceremony. They apologized for the ceremony in a way. I don't have the apology right in front of me, but something to the effect of, we're sorry if you're offended by the opening ceremony. Where do I even begin on what was fucked up about that opening ceremony? Well, it was basically a big middle finger to Christians. A big two middle fingers all the way up. And, you know, there's a time and a place, I would say, for having your artful pieces and doing whatever you want to do. But the ceremony, where you had a kind of a Last Supper with drag queens of sorts. The big one in the middle was about 400 or 500 pounds. Looked like a female Boogie 2988, for fuck's sake. The exact opposite of Jesus, I would probably say. Funny thing about the Last Supper is, she's never missed a supper. She's always going to be overeating at the supper. So, yeah, I don't know about the casting. I'm not sure about why they did what they did. It was not, I think it was one person responsible for it. But the committee actually signed off on it, meaning they knew what was up, and they were completely fine with it. So it's not a situation to where one person put all that shit together and didn't check with them and had certain parameters of what they wanted. Typically, you would think opening Olympics ceremony is going to be kind of uplifting and sports-like, right? You would think. But to just basically summarize, you had a lot of a mixture of transsexuals, drag queens, you name it, a lot of fucking freaks waving their freak flag, which some of you, hey, you know, you're not going to get offended by that. I'm not personally offended by freaks. I'm not. Freaks are freaks, doing freaky things. That's not what got me about the ceremony. It's the fact that, like I mentioned, it was a big double middle finger to Christians because they were basically doing a gay LGBT version of the Last Supper. But that's not even the most offensive part of it for me personally. Okay, you had a blue guy, a Smurf-looking fella, and he was almost bucket naked. It looked like at first his dingleberries were hanging out, but I guess he was wearing like some loose underwear or something like this. They just spray painted him all blue. And he was like in a feast of sorts. He was, I don't think anybody would want to feast on that thing, whatever the hell that is. The offensive thing to me is not all of that, but the fact that you actually had this blue naked motherfucker, another person who, I did a search, I thought it was the blue guy, but actually one of those drag queens had their dingleberries hanging out. More than the berries, they had the whole thing, the whole shebang hanging out in the picture. I had to get me a vomit bucket because I thought I was going to throw up after seeing that. They had little ones. They had fucking children in the middle of all that shit. So, I don't get and understand Like, how fucked up are things in Paris to where they think it's okay to, of course, give a big double middle finger in a whole ceremony saying fuck you to Christians, but actually to drop some little kids into all that stuff? That's some seriously evil satanic shit. And otherwhere in the ceremony, otherwheres, I think there was like a Marianne Antoinette, and she was beheaded and the head was talking. There was a pale horse that's significant to the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, I believe. So that's my thoughts on the opening ceremony for the Paris Olympics. But believe me, I have plenty more thoughts on the female boxing competition with supposed females involved.